Let me tell you a story that will probably hurt because if you are here, it is very possible that you have already lived it. Imagine walking into a nursery and taking 50 euros out of your wallet. You buy a beautiful pear tree, one with a label promising mountains of juicy fruit every autumn. You take it home, dig the hole with hope, water it faithfully every week, wait patiently for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And when that third autumn arrives, the moment of truth, you go out to your garden with a basket and come back inside with exactly 18 pears. 18. Meanwhile, you look up and see the tree has reached 5 meters in height. Its branches have expanded so much they occupy a quarter of your garden, casting shade over everything else. It is a green giant, yes, but almost no fruit. And the story doesn't end there. March arrives, one of those strong late winter storms, and suddenly you hear a dry crack, like a gunshot. You run out and see it. The central branch, the one that grew out of control, has snapped completely under its own weight. Your investment, your time, your excitement, all on the ground. Do you know why this happens? It's not bad luck. It's not that you don't have a green thumb. It happens because no one told you the dirty secret of gardening. Trees do not want to give you fruit. Trees want to survive. And there is only one practice that separates a tree that will feed your family for 3 decades from a tree that will end up cut for firewood after 4 years. That practice is called winter pruning at the exact right moment. My name is Waldo, and if this story sounds familiar, or even better, if you want to prevent it from happening to you, I invite you to pay close attention right now. Because what I am about to share with you is not just a gardening tip. It is a mindset shift that could completely revolutionize your orchard. Many people think this video is about pruning in February, and they are right, but only half right. And a half-truth is dangerous. If you only prune these 7 fruit trees in February, you will fix the structure. But if you don't apply the complete system I'm going to explain, especially the August secret that most ignore, you will spend the next decade buying fruit at the market while your garden is full of immense, beautiful, and unproductive trees. It's not about aesthetics. We aren't making bonsai. It is about understanding the physiology, the blood of the tree. You have to understand how a fruit tree decides to allocate its energy. It is a constant war between 2 impulses: to expand or to bear fruit. And if you don't intervene, if you don't take command, the tree will always, and I repeat, always choose to expand. It is basic biology. In nature, a wild pear tree in the forest has one goal: to grow tall and wide to dominate other trees and win the competition for sunlight. It only generates the strictly necessary fruit to propagate its seeds, maybe about 60 pears a year, scattered over 10 meters of inaccessible branches where only birds can reach. But you don't want a wild tree. You want a production machine. A correctly pruned pear tree in a family garden generates 250 pears a year on branches you can reach while standing comfortably on the ground. And the only difference between that useless giant in the forest and your food machine is that one received pruning every late winter using a system that redirects the tree's energy from making wood to making fruit. But here comes the twist that no one tells you in basic manuals. The real reason you prune fruit trees in February is to prepare the ground to quadruple your harvest next summer. And this works thanks to a paradox. Winter pruning and summer pruning generate opposite effects on a fruit tree. If you execute both at the precise moment, you transform a mediocre tree into a legend. There are 3 reasons to cut a branch: to remove the damaged, to make your life easier, and most importantly, to increase the harvest. Today we focus on that third reason, because most domestic fruit trees are simply unproductive because they are channeling all their energy into making new wood. We are going to stop that right now. Let's start with the first group, which I like to call the greedy giants. The leader of this gang is the pear tree. If you have limited space for just one fruit tree in your garden, a pear tree should be on your priority list. Pears store excellently, produce generously, and respond extraordinarily well to pruning. But be careful, because the pear tree is treacherous. It tends to expand more vigorously than almost any other fruit tree. If you give it an inch, it takes a mile. If you don't control it, it will channel all its energy into creating vertical branches seeking the sky and forget about feeding you. Here's how you tame the beast in February. You start by eliminating any dead or infected branches, cutting flush at the unions. That is the basics. But then comes the strategy. You eliminate any branch that heads inwards towards the core of the tree. Why? Because these branches are parasites. They will never receive enough light to generate quality fruit, and they produce a congested center that retains humidity and stimulates diseases. We want the air to flow freely. After cleaning, you need to configure the structure. The best configuration for a domestic pear tree is what we call a conical structure or fir tree shape. Imagine a Christmas tree. That is the perfect shape. And the reason isn't aesthetic, it is pure physics. The short branches of a cone are less likely to break under the weight of fruit, snow, or ice than the long spreading branches of an open center configuration. To create this productive pyramid, you prune each arm back to a bud that points outward. And this is fundamental. I want you to burn this into your mind. Always cut 0.5 centimeter above a bud that points in the direction where you want the new growth to go. If you want a branch to extend outward to open the tree, cut to an outward-facing bud. If you want to prevent the tree from going wild, cut to an upward-facing bud. This is how you control the tree's destiny. You have to be aggressive for the first 5 years. The more you prune a tree in winter, the faster it will expand in spring. I know it sounds contradictory, but by cutting, the tree reacts with panic and launches new wood. That is why, once your pear tree has reached the size you want, after about 5 years, you hit the brakes. You switch to very light winter pruning and trust summer pruning for the fruit. The second member of this group is the apple tree. Apple trees are the foot soldiers of this army. They are pruned almost exactly like pear trees, using the same conical structure and the same timing. February. February is the perfect month because the tree is still in total vegetative dormancy. It is asleep, but temperatures are no longer as extreme as in January. This means that when it wakes up in March, wounds will heal fast. The apple tree is a little less aggressive than the pear tree, so you can be a little gentler with the shears. But the principle is identical. Dead wood out, internal branches out, cone shape, and cut above an external bud. If you master the pear and the apple, you have mastered palm fruits. But now we enter different territory. We leave the robust giants and enter the surgery room. The following 5 fruit trees are stone fruits, and here the rules change because the risk of death increases. Tree number 3 is the plum tree. Plums have a large stone in the center, and this biological difference makes them extremely susceptible to an infection called silverleaf. This disease is a silent killer that penetrates through pruning cuts. So with plum trees, you do your pruning in late winter, yes, but you need to immediately treat the wounds with a commercial pruning sealer or any oil-based paint. This is absolutely critical. Never, under any circumstances, leave a pruning wound exposed on a plum tree. If you do, you are inviting death into your tree. Also, plum trees are rebellious. They tend to generate many suckers, those long, straight stems that come out of the base. Those are energy thieves that will never bear fruit. Cut them flush without mercy. Tree number 4, the apricot tree, is even more delicate. It is also a stone fruit, so it needs mandatory wound sealing. But the apricot tree has a mortal enemy of its own: bacterial canker. This infection can kill a tree very quickly if not controlled. February is the perfect time to prune them because temperatures rise, but bacteria are still asleep. Here you have to be a ruthless surgeon. If you see darkened wood, If you see the tree weeping gum, that is canker. Cut it immediately, well below the visible wound, and burn that branch. Do not throw it in the compost or you will infect your entire garden. And now we arrive at the special cases, the ones that really test your patience but give you the best rewards. The peach tree, tree number 5, is the diva of the group. It is the most demanding. It is susceptible to peach leaf curl, a disease that deforms the leaves. But the most important thing is understanding how it gives fruit. The peach tree fruits on the previous year's wood. This means that if you get excited cutting in February and remove all the new wood, you are left without a harvest. With the peach tree, February pruning is only for structure and cleaning. Go light. The real battle with the peach tree will be in summer because they grow so vigorously that if you don't stop them, they become giant bushes with tiny fruit. But in February, treat it gently. The cherry tree, number 6, has another problem: height. A cherry tree wants to touch the sky. If you let it run free, it will put all the cherries at the very highest tip, reserved exclusively for the birds. Your job in February is to keep it low. Cut the main arms to maintain a height of 4 or 5 meters, and thin out the lateral branches so light enters the center. Cherry trees need air. If moisture gets trapped in the canopy, they will suffer from gummosis and fungi. And finally, the quince tree, tree number 7. It is a member of the apple and pear family, but it is much calmer. It is less vigorous, grows slowly. It requires very light pruning. If you give it the same beating as a pear tree, you will leave it without wood to fruit, because the quince generates its fruit at the tips of the previous year's growth. With it, less is more. Just clean the dead stuff and maintain the shape. Now I have told you about February. I told you it is the critical window because the trees are dormant and can handle stress. If you wait until March, when the buds swell, you will lose the harvest. If you do it in November, the cold will kill the branches. But I promise to quadruple your harvest, and with just winter pruning, you won't achieve it. Here is the science, the secret that manuals omit. Winter pruning stimulates wood growth. The more you cut now, the more branches you will have in spring. But you don't eat wood, you eat fruit. To get fruit, you need summer pruning. This is the complete system. In February, you configure the structure. In August, usually in the first week, you force the fruit. Summer pruning consists of shortening the current year's growth. When you cut in August, you stop the tree in its tracks. You tell it, stop growing, start producing. By cutting in summer, the tree no longer has time to put out new branches, so it redirects that energy to form fruiting spurs, those short, robust branches that are fruit factories. The protocol is this. In August, shorten all branch leaders to 15 centimeters. Shorten the laterals to 7 or 8 centimeters. And any shoot coming off those laterals, take it down to 2 or 3 centimeters. It seems drastic, but it is magic. This combination of winter structure and summer restriction is what makes a pear tree go from giving 10 kilos to 40 kilos. Imagine the tree's energy like water in a pipe. In nature, the tree spends that water expanding the pipe, wood. You, with August pruning, cap the pipe and force the water out through the taps, fruit. It is a system that has fed European families for generations. No chemical fertilizers, no expensive equipment. Just understanding that February is for shape and August is for food. Configure in winter, force fruit in summer. If you follow this pattern, especially during the first 5 years of the tree's life, you will be building a legacy. You are not pruning just for next summer. You are creating a tree that will feed your children and your grandchildren. The difference between that eternal tree and the one that becomes firewood at 4 years old is the decisions you take this month. So sharpen your saw, buy your pruning paste, and get out there. February is the month that separates gardeners who dream of fruit from those who actually harvest it.